Hi and welcome to the Shamrock Quilt Studio. Today we're working on the flowers for our Miss Karen project. And these are the parts of the flower that have the little scallops on them. So they do tend to be a little more difficult. So we're going to take our time and put together some pieces today for this flower. These 3 pieces to give us the full effect. So join us right after that and we'll get started. Okay, thanks for joining us today. We're working on the petals to these flowers for our Miss Karen project. Now I have created a template of this from the heat-proof Mylar, and that helps us because we've got to do 4 of each of these pieces we're doing today. One has already been done and put on the design, and then I have one completed outside of the template. This one I just took off, it was inside the template, and then we have the one we're working on today. So we're going to start first with the yellow piece. Now you see on this one, I have had my cut line marked and cut here, and then I have also marked in the little line for where the pink piece is going to fit onto this, just like that. So let's get started with this yellow one. Now I have not pre-trimmed the fabric for this yet, so I'm going to take a moment and do that. And what I've found works the best is to go in on the back side and mark this fabric with the actual shape. And we just kind of need a rough idea of what we need. Okay, there we go. And now we can cut it. And I'm going to cut it about 1/4 of an inch. And we're going to go into each one of those little dips. And we're going to cut this little curves on the side. And then a little trim here at the bottom. We don't need to be as precise on the bottom because it's going to fall underneath all the other pieces. And let's get rid of this. Where did my trash can go? We'll just make a little pile. Okay, so there we go. There's our piece. And we want to take our starch solution and just paint the edges there around the cut line to the edge of the fabric. Oh, I forgot something. Jiminy Cricket. We're going to see how well this works. I've told you before it doesn't work quite as well to do it once it's wet, but we need to cut a little clip there at each one of those inward points. It's working okay. One at the inward point and one on each side seems to work the best. And you want to make sure you don't cut into the line. And then I just like to do one little one on the sides. We'll have to remember to do that next time before we put the solution on. Then we're going to put this pattern template back on top of it, and we're just going to start folding. And those little cuts allow us to get that really nice and deep into that area to give us a nice sharp curve and inward point. Okay, we've got it started. We're going to move it over to the ironing surface now, and I'm going to gather these up so I can move this over a little bit. And we'll start pressing. And you do hear that sizzle when you put the hot iron on that fabric with the starch solution. We've just about done that already. And then we're going to take this area here, get a nice long pin, so we can pull this and make some little tucks. And fold that curve in, just like that. Now, a little note, my starch solution had sat for a couple of days, and that's perfectly fine, but I did notice that when I started using it, it was really thick. So I added some more water, so it's a really thin solution, but it still has plenty of starch power. Okay, we've got that side done. We're just going to do this side the same way. Little tucks and gathers to bring us to the corner, and then a tuck to bring the edge in, and then we're going to roll it over and press it down. And we've got our shape. It's just that easy. Now the first one I did, let me show you that. The first one I did without any experience with this, you can see that we don't have near the definition that we have with this one. So probably what I'll do is I'll dampen this and iron it flat and then apply new starch solution and get a better shape piece for this. Now we're going to use that same technique to do our pink piece, and here's one we just finished with the template in it. So we're going to pull that template out. And we're going to work on our pink one. And I have cut this one just a little bit narrower. And I'm going to put, I did it again, folks. I did it again. Let's see if we can dry that off a little bit. Clip first. Okay, there we go. All right, let's try this again. Dampen it. Give it just a minute to soak in. There you can begin to see it. It's turning a darker color. All right. Put our template back down. And we're going to start rolling. Now, because this one has a little narrow edge, we are going to have to work a little bit harder to make sure that everything's turned over properly. But it will come together. I had one that I did with a really, really tiny fold over, and it worked fine. And I don't really think it needs to be this small. Okay, and then we're going to fold under our points. And here we are with our other side. Take our little gathers. See how tiny those are? Now, the only bad thing about the tiny is that sometimes they get too small and your clip is exposed. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this back. We're going to try to manipulate that fabric just a little further down. In those points. We'll press again. Okay, much better. And since we're having some problems with that, what we're going to do is we're going to do a little light starch on the top and hit it again with our iron. Okay, and then the extra starch will just slip away. We may have to adjust this a bit with our stitching when that time comes. But I think that'll be fine. Okay, so we've got 3 of those done. They look so nice. And we've got 3 of these done. I think that one of them we'll have to do again. So we're on to our green. Now this has got some really pointy curves, but actually since there's only 2 of these inward ones, it does seem to be a little bit easier. So we're going to get started on that one. Okay, this one we're going to start here. That's fast and easy. We're going to do the other side. Okay, we've got that one finished. Now the only thing I did differently with this one was on the bottom of this piece, I went ahead and turned it under very neatly as well. Whereas with some of these others, I didn't worry about it because this is the piece that's going to be on top. When we assemble this flower, it's going to look something like this. And this, all these others are going to be covered by a piece on top of it, but this one will stick out. And then there will be, if I could grab a hold of a little vine, a vine that comes out of this, similar to that. So as you can see, we need to make sure that the bottom of this is neatly done. So that's how we do our flower petals for this, and it's really not so difficult. I think the things you need to remember, which I had a problem with today, is clipping before you wet the fabric, and then also making sure that you leave enough fabric to turn it under, but not so much that it's bulky and causes a problem. Now, as I said, this one that I did, I think this is one of the first ones I did. I'm going to give it a go and see if I can just refold it. And if I can't refold it, then I'll just cut another piece. It's really small, and it may even be easier to just do that to start with and get finished with it. So now we have, I think, every piece done. I wanted to give you a little peek at this that I did the other day. This is the center medallion for this, and I know we covered making this wavy piece in our video frugal freezer paper templates for this project, and then the other pieces were done with the heat-proof mylar. But I think since we showed it, I've added the 2 center rings. We've covered doing circles before, and we just do this by stitching them and pulling them tight and then starching them, and then you let that stitch loose and you still have your circle. So everything here is all sewn together. So when we get our piece together, we get all the pieces on. This will be the last thing that goes on. We'll take out our freezer paper template in the back and then glue and stitch this down to cover up all of our vines in the center. I hope this video was helpful for you today. If it was helpful and you enjoyed it, please give us a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next week here at the Shamrock Quilt Studio.